Rolling! Action!
If you watch this show, you know that yesterday we were ahead of the game explaining exactly what was going on with Stephen Colbert,
Hey, Tommy.
James Tallarico, CBS,
Trying to
the
save
FCC,
America as well,
and the Trump
so I can
administration.
continue to play
Bottom
music
line,
in a
Colbert
free
lied.
country.
Tallarico's his accomplice, and Jasmine Crockett is the one who got screwed in all of it. And by the afternoon yesterday,
just
the truth
psycho
came
bigot.
out, we were validated,
Horrible.
and Jasmine Crockett,
Horrible
she
woman!
was pissed.
Hey,
I mean,
Larry,
she's trying to hide
it's
it.
Tommy with Les
But we'll
Pauls
show
and
you
Strats and all
just
of
how
it. I'm a
pissed
rock
she
and roller.
was.
And you said I could call you Larry. So I'm calling you
That's
Larry.
coming up in a minute.
Love your
First,
show,
though,
Larry.
Here, take a look at from
Look
the
at-
potato.
take a look at
Here,
this.
Brian Stelter. Of all
That's
people. See,
251-year-old
when
knife,
our
the
political
birth of the
enemies, when
nation
people
I got from my
disagree with us,
ancestor,
validate
General
what we've
John
been
F.
saying all
Glover.
along, inadvertently saying,
Merchant.
yeah, you know, that
Owned
crazy
boats,
right-wing
gave 'em to
streamer
Washington
Larry
to cross the
O'Connor, he knew
rivers.
what he
Look
was
it up.
talking about.
My
We'd like to show
mother,
that to
my
you. It's a bit
father's
of a
mother,
victory lap.
my grandma, Glover,
This just in from
Sybil Glover,
CBS. The Late Show was
her
not prohibited by
ancestor,
CBS
and
from
mine,
broadcasting
direct
the
grandfather,
interview with
Glover.
Representative James Tallarico.
That comes from
Told
him.
you so. Go ahead, watch our show yesterday. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett. See, again, it didn't have anything to do with Republicans. It had
251
nothing
years
to do
old.
with the Republican candidates for Senate in Texas. It had nothing to do with Trump.
Dull as shit.
It had to do with equal time for Jasmine Crockett.
Oh,
and the other
Crockett,
Democrat candidates.
Shetland
Ask
pony.
yourself,
Crockett,
why
Shetland
doesn't Stephen
ponies. Hey,
Colbert
Belle.
want Jasmine Crockett to
Bella,
be on his
yeah,
show?
she
And
doesn't
for everybody
like her
who's like,
either.
oh, but she was on the show. She
Am I
was just on
echoing
the
too
show
much?
in May. That
Check.
was before she was a declared candidate.
Probably.
Now that she's a declared candidate, the rules change in
Pardon
terms
me,
of
pardon
equal
me.
time,
Excuse
number
me.
one.
It's
Number
Tommy.
two, from Colbert's perspective, and please, as you analyze this story, don't think of Colbert as a talk show host. Don't think of him as an entertainer or a comedian. Don't even think of him as a news guy or a journalist. He's an operative. He's an activist. He's an advocate. He's an apparatchik.
That's right.
He's trying to help the party.
That's right.
The party does not want Jasmine Crockett to be
Oh,
nominated.
who would?
So that's the answer to the hypothetical, rhetorical question, why wouldn't Stephen Colbert want Jasmine Crockett on? Because she's good television. But here we are 2 weeks before Election Day for the primary in Texas. Here we are in the middle of early voting for the primary in Texas. The last thing Colbert and the party wants is for Jasmine Crockett to get that kind of attention. And the one thing they do want is for James Tallarico to get that kind of attention. That's why they created this mythology. They created this hoax to help him, and it did help him. I'll show you in a second. Here, one more time here. CBS presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. In other words, CBS said, listen, Stephen, you want to put Tallarico on, that's fine. But this triggers broadcast FCC equal time provisions, and therefore you're going to have to bring on candidate A, candidate B, so they can have equal time with candidate C, and you've got to do it between now and the primary election in the next 2 weeks. The Late Show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. So, as you learned yesterday on this very program, Trump didn't have anything to do with it. The FCC and Brendan Carr didn't really have anything to do with it other than months ago they said they were going to be enforcing the long-standing equal time rules that go back to the 1930s. And CBS did not say, you shall not do this. All of those things that Stephen Colbert and James Tallarico told you happened. No. All CBS said was, you can do it. It's your show. But just so you know, so that we can stay within the law, you're going to have these other people. And it was Stephen Colbert and the people at the show that said, well, hell no, we don't want that. So we're going to create this hoax. We'll show you how that hoax paid off in a second. But last night, Stephen Colbert did have CNN's Caitlin Collins on. And she is, forgive me, not very bright, at least when it comes to these issues and broadcast rules and equal time. I guess she shouldn't have to know this. After all, she's on cable news, which is not beholden to these things. But ask any radio host or any local television host on CBS even, and they'll tell you We know. We deal with this all the time. There's nothing new here. But here's what Caitlin Collins had to say.
I think that you've seen some people on the right cheering this and saying, well, that's what we want Brendan Carr to do. I think that they don't want a Democratic administration saying that right-wing talk radio must give equal time to Democrats or to see that moment. And so for me personally on our show, I have Democrats and Republicans on. I want to know what everyone's saying. I want my viewers to know what the debate is that's in Washington. I don't think anyone wants the federal government telling people who they should book on their show and who the guests should be on there.
All right, so she is, in fact, a moron. And she also, in fact, knows nothing about so-called right-wing talk radio. I am, in fact, a right-wing talk radio host. I've been one for over 15 years. I'll tell you exactly what we want. We just had an election in Virginia for governor, right? I had Winsome Sears, the Republican candidate, on all the time. Jason Miyares, the Republican incumbent attorney general, was on my show all the time. Can I tell you something? Caitlin, can I tell you something? We begged Abigail Spanberger to come on the show. We begged Jay Jones, the Democrat nominee for Attorney General, to come on the show. Jay Jones, you know, the guy who text messaged his friends about murdering Republican children. Oh, I wanted to interview him. Abigail Spanberger, who got a free pass from everyone in the media, like the likes of Caitlin Collins. Oh, Abigail Spanberger would go on her show, but she wouldn't come on my show. It's not like I don't have an audience. I was dying to ask her questions because I knew she wasn't a moderate. But she got away with saying she was a moderate because she didn't come on our shows. Conservative talk radio hosts would love to have Democrats come on our show, especially during a campaign. You don't think I didn't want to interview Kamala Harris? So she knows nothing about what we do. Okay, but also she just displayed her ignorance about what equal time rules are. Take a listen.
I think that they don't want a Democratic administration saying that right-wing talk radio must give equal time to Democrats or to see that moment. And
all right, so just so you know, it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat administration or a Republican administration. If you bring on a candidate, a declared candidate prior to an election, you are required, if the opposing candidate asks for the time, you are required to give them that time. I had to deal with this on my radio station. Back when Barack Obama was president, a Democrat, and we had a candidate on quite a bit, and the Democrat demanded to come on. He got on because that's the law. Now, as you hear a lot of, forgive me, ignorant people like Caitlin Collins say, oh, well, just wait, Democrats are going to have to change the way conservative right-wing talk radio does their job. You're confusing equal time when it comes to having candidates on the air versus the fairness doctrine, which had been in place dictating opinions expressed on the air. You're right. We don't want the government telling hosts of radio shows what opinions can be expressed on the air, or if you provide one opinion, you have to provide equal time to the other opinion. That's not what this is. This is not about expressing opinions and the fairness doctrine so that all sides are heard. This is very narrow and it's very specific. You put candidate A on. If the opponent asks to be on, you have to allow the opponent to be on too. It's that simple. And it only applies to the public airways for radio and broadcast television. That's what CBS is, broadcast television, okay? So now you are educated. If you could just explain this to Caitlin Collins and Stephen Colbert, and it seems every liberal in the media who is either really stupid about this stuff or just playing dumb, maybe both, but equal time rules are very... By the way, just real fast, just so you can get read in on this, it doesn't apply to pundits or advocates or spokespeople or surrogates, right? So if I wanted to, I could book my show with nothing but surrogate after surrogate after surrogate speaking on behalf of a candidate. That's fine. You don't have to provide equal time. Stephen Colbert can have a litany. Every single guest can come on and say, Tallarico should be the Democrat nominee for Senate. Tallarico is the best man. And Jasmine Crockett can't say a damn thing about it. But the second he books the candidate, that's when equal time comes in. And it's so insulting because so many of us who have real jobs on real broadcast outlets, either radio stations or television stations, we know this stuff. It happens all the time. But no, by all means, let's get failing Caitlin Collins on the air to talk about it. Now, I keep asking you the rhetorical question. They're either stupid or they're lying to you, probably both. And they are pretty stupid about things. I think in this case, Caitlin Collins is quite stupid about this, or ignorant, let's just say. But I assure you that most of the people involved here, including Stephen Colbert and his production company, and including Congressman Tallarico, they know full well what's going on here, and they know full well what they did, and they know full well what they got away with. And understand, the person that they're screwing with this entire scheme, this entire hoax, this entire kabuki theater is Jasmine Crockett, and she knows it. So last night, because he was the flavor of the month, Tallarico got to go on The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell. Hey, did Lawrence O'Donnell book Jasmine Crockett too? No, he didn't. Now, he didn't have to because he's on cable, not broadcast, but they made a conscious choice. Jasmine Crockett is being put in the corner. So Tallarico gets on here, and he continued to lie about this whole thing.
It should be troubling to all of us, regardless of our political affiliations or our political beliefs, that the most powerful people in the country, the most powerful politicians, and the most powerful corporate executives are working together to sell out the First Amendment, to sell out our freedom of speech in order to protect their own power and their own wealth. And that should be concerning to all of us, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, whether you're a progressive or conservative, because an attack on any one of our First Amendment rights is an attack on all of our First Amendment rights.
Oh, he's so reasonable and so relatable and such a nice guy. He's just like, the kid who grew up down the street, went away to Ivy League school, and now has come back. And I want to vote for him. He's so earnest. Please, Congressman, tell me about the Bible and how Christianity is really there to protect people to get abortions. Please. What a scam artist this guy is, and what an absolute fraud he is. And there's Lawrence O'Donnell. Larry, come on, Larry-O. From one Larry-O to another, you're not this dumb. He's not. But he's nodding along. Yes, this is very troubling. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. It shouldn't matter. You should be very concerned about the administration, the government, and corporations silencing, undermining the First Amendment. None of that happened. No, you know what happened? You know what really happened? You know what's really troubling? Is that the scam worked. Within 24 hours, they raised $2.5 million because he's a victim. Poor Jimmy quoting the Bible and telling me how Jesus wants us to protect transgender preschool teachers and their relationship with our children. Congressman Tallarico is the victim, damn it. And he parlayed this into $2.5 million in fundraising. And I promise you they know better. I promise you they are you do not run a grown-up professional statewide campaign in Texas without having political operatives, campaign advisors, media experts working for you in your inner circle that know every single syllable in the FCC equal time rules. They know, and they are lying. And it's working. It's absolutely working. And who ends up being the victim? Our gal Jazzy. And she knows too. Trust me, she's got just as many advisors. And look at her. She knows she's been done wrong. Way wrong. And she said so yesterday. Remember, up until this moment, the narrative for all the crazy screaming memes on the left was mean old nasty Trump and Brendan Carr and the FCC is squelching the First Amendment and denying a Democrat congressman from going on CBS and Stephen Colbert's show because they're terrified of him and they're just trying to protect Republicans, right? That was the narrative. Jasmine Crockett, she knows better.
We did receive information suggesting that the federal government did not shut down this sector. Number one, that is my understanding, that the federal government didn't shut this down, and we will do an official statement once we get
She's an idiot.
another official statement that we anticipate is going to be coming.
You are an
Paramount.
absolute
All right, so
disingenuous,
we will read what they say,
lying
and then we'll go from there.
grifter.
It's our understanding that
Jasmine
Collier,
Crockett.
either Mr. Collier or
You're
CBS,
stupid to even
decided
think
to just
we're
escape all of
fool.
here.
Goodbye.
And this was because of a fear that the FCC may say something to
I play
them.
music with all kinds of
and
people, all
that
colors, all my
there may
life.
have been advice
I've
to just have
she's
me
ridiculous.
on, and then they could clear